For more than a century and a half, one story has been told as if it were fact, and that is Darwin's theory of evolution. We are taught that humanity is the result of blind chance, and that primitive apes gradually transformed over millions of years into modern humans. Our schools, museums, and documentaries present this theory as a smooth, unbroken line of random mutations and survival of the fittest. Eventually, language, cities, and technology appear, with us humans crowned at the top of the evolutionary tree. It seems a very neat and simple framework. The theory tells us we are a cosmic accident and the inevitable outcome of randomness in an indifferent universe. And, most importantly, it leaves no room for anything or anyone intervening in our story. But maybe a few cracks are showing. The fossil record is not the tidy ladder we're told it island. There are missing rungs. Leaps too sudden to be explained by slow, random change. Jumps in intelligence, culture, and technology that look less like blind chance and more like deliberate interference. Researcher Michelle Gibson has spent years exposing how much of our history doesn't add up. From suspiciously erased timelines to physical evidence hidden in plain sight, her work points to a past that was far more complex and manipulated than what we're taught. She asks the simple but dangerous question, and that is, what if the official story is itself a cover-up? So, what if Darwin's story is not the full truth? What if it was never meant to be? What if it's a carefully crafted narrative to hide humanity's real origins? This is where our journey begins. For decades, school books and documentaries have shown us neat diagrams, ape-like ancestors on the left and modern humans to the right. Each stage, Lucy, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, all slotting neatly into place like steps on a ladder. But when you step outside the polished museum displays, the picture becomes much less tidy. Take the sudden emergence of Homo sapiens. By evolutionary standards, we appeared almost overnight, fully modern in brain capacity, language ability, and symbolic thought. There are no clear transitional fossils showing the gradual shift from earlier hominins to us. It's as if we just arrived. Then there's the problem of out-of-place artifacts. In Texas, for example, a hammer encased in rock dated to hundreds of millions of years ago. In Illinois, a metal bell reportedly found inside coal thought to be 300 million years old. While mainstream science dismisses these as mistakes or hoaxes, their very existence hints at a much stranger timeline than the textbooks allow. Even the so-called missing link keeps shifting. Every time a new fossil is found, it raises more questions than it answers. Instead of a smooth chain, the human family tree looks more like a tangled bush, branches appearing and disappearing without clear connections. And then there's Michelle Gibson's work on hidden history. She's shown how ancient civilizations left behind evidence of advanced knowledge, such as geometry, architecture, and engineering, far beyond what Darwinian timelines allow. Her research suggests there was a global civilization, systematically erased, leaving us with a fragmented story. When you put all of this together, the sudden leaps in ability, the out-of-place artifacts, the missing links, and the suppressed histories, the cracks in the Darwinian timeline become impossible to ignore. So, if the standard story isn't the full truth, what really happened? Who or what was shaping these leaps? Next, we turn to the oldest records humanity has left behind. For most of us, the story of humanity begins with bones and stones, with archaeology, fossils, and fragments in the dirt. But scattered across the world are other records, written in the language of myth and scripture. The Sumerians spoke of the Annunaki, those who came from the heavens and fashioned mankind. The Hebrew Bible describes the Nephilim, beings born of unions between the sons of God and human women. The Book of Enoch, once sacred but cast out of the canon, details how Watchers descended, shared forbidden knowledge, and corrupted the human bloodline. Different cultures from different continents, but the same story repeats. Humanity didn't simply evolve, we were shaped. And here's where the genetic puzzle begins. Mainstream science admits something strange. Humans are different. We carry 223 unique genes not found in any other species. No smooth gradient of mutations, just sudden insertions that appear out of nowhere. Our chromosome 2 is another anomaly, a fusion of two 8 chromosomes into one, which looks like a deliberate splice, not a slow evolutionary accident. Even the sudden leap from archaic hominids to modern Homo sapiens, language, culture, symbolic thought, remains unexplained. Darwin's mechanism of tiny, gradual changes simply doesn't fit the scale or speed of that transformation. So we're left with two possibilities. Either we accept a story full of impossible gaps, or we ask the uncomfortable question, was someone editing the human genome? The myths and the biology point in the same direction. The gods described in stone tablets and scriptures may not be mere metaphors, but the memory of those who intervened, engineers who left their mark in our DNA. And that leaves us with a question no textbook wants to touch. Were they benevolent teachers or careful jailers? If the story of human origins were as clean as the textbooks claim, we shouldn't keep finding things that don't fit. And yet, all across the world, we do. Take the Nampa figurine. In 1889, a tiny clay doll was pulled from nearly 300 feet underground in Idaho. Geological layers dated it at 2 million years old, long before humans were supposed to exist in the Americas. Mainstream archaeologists quietly shelved it. Or the London hammer, a tool found encased in 400 million year old rock. If genuine, it suggests human technology where none should be. Critics dismiss it as misdated, yet the object remains a thorn in the neat Darwinian narrative. And then there are the skeletons. From North America to Asia, reports surface of giant human remains of beings 8, 10, even 12 feet tall. In the 19th century alone, dozens of accounts appeared in newspapers and excavation logs. The Smithsonian Institution, according to many researchers, received numerous skeletons, only for them to vanish. Officially, no evidence of giants exists. Unofficially, the stories refuse to die. So, why suppress these finds? Well, because they align too closely with the old myths. The Book of Enoch describes giants, offspring of the Watchers, and human women who ravaged the earth. Native American traditions speak of red-haired giants who waged war with tribes. Ancient builders across the world raised megalithic structures whose scale suggests a larger, stronger race. If these skeletons were acknowledged, the entire evolutionary framework would collapse. Instead, they're written off as hoaxes, mismeasurements, or lost to history. And there is a pattern. Whenever a discovery points to a past that doesn't fit Darwin's ladder, whether it's an out-of-place artifact, a massive skeleton, or a ruin too advanced for its age, it vanishes into obscurity. Archaeology, then, isn't just about uncovering the past. It's also about curating the story, deciding what is seen and what is buried again. Which leaves us asking, if so much is being hidden, what truth are they protecting? Among the apocryphal texts that never made it into the official Bible, one stands out like a beacon, and that is the Book of Enoch. For centuries, it was hidden, dismissed as myth or heresy. Yet within its pages lies a story that feels uncomfortably close to the archaeological whispers we just explored. The Book of Enoch describes how heavenly beings, the Watchers, descended to earth. They were not passive observers. They taught forbidden knowledge such as metallurgy, enchantments and weaponry. These Watchers took human women, creating hybrid offspring. These hybrids were giants, the Nephilim. The text paints them as destructive forces, consuming resources, waging war, even feeding on humanity itself. Their violence was so great that God, or perhaps the higher cosmic order, unleashed a cataclysm to wipe them out. Now consider the global flood myths. From Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica, from Noah to Gilgamesh, cultures across the world speak of a great deluge that erased a corrupted race. The parallels are striking. But the real disruption is this. If the Book of Enoch is even partly true, it suggests human history is not a clean, isolated climb up Darwin's ladder. It's a collision of species, a genetic experiment. Somewhere in our past, someone or something has intervened. Mainstream scholars dismiss the text as religious fantasy, but why then did powerful church authorities work so hard to suppress it? Why did it vanish for over 1,000 years, surviving only in fragments in Ethiopia until the 18th century? Perhaps because the Book of Enoch reframes humanity's origins. It implies that we are not simply children of Earth, but the product of unions between this world and another, and that the missing link Darwinists can't explain may not be missing at all. It may have been erased, rewritten, or deliberately hidden. From Enoch to archaeology, from skeletons to suppressed artifacts, a picture begins to emerge. Our origins were never as simple as random mutations. They were engineered, and the question that follows is unavoidable. Engineered by who, and for what purpose? For over a century, scientists have searched for the so-called missing link, that elusive fossil, that single piece of bone that would neatly connect apes to modern humans in the Darwinian chain. But despite decades of digging, it has never appeared. What we do find are sudden leaps. Homo habilis to Homo erectus, Neanderthal to modern man, jumps in brain size, cognition and language that simply do not fit the slow march of natural selection. It's as if someone spliced new code into the human genome. When we put the Book of Enoch beside this puzzle, a different picture emerges. Perhaps there is no missing link because humans are not simply the result of gradual evolution at all. Perhaps the leap was engineered. Mainstream science will call this fringe speculation. Yet even within their own labs, the tools of genetic engineering reveal the truth of what is possible. Today, with CRISPR technology, scientists can insert, remove, or rewrite genes with precision. Entire species are being reprogrammed. Alleged viruses can be engineered, traits can be selected, life can be redesigned. So, if we can do this now, who's to say it wasn't done before? The Sumerian tablets speak of the Annunaki, who came to Earth and fashioned mankind as workers. The Book of Enoch speaks of the Watchers, who bred with humans and altered their path. Even the Bible hints at giants in those days, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. Different traditions, same theme, outside hands in the human story. And here's where the past meets the present. Because the genetic story of humanity is not finished, we are told that modern medical interventions with injections, therapies, enhancements are about protecting us, curing us, upgrading us. But hidden within the language of progress is another possibility, that humanity is once again being edited. So, we must ask, are we witnessing another genetic fork in the road, another rewriting of the species? Is the drive toward transhumanism, merging biology with technology, just the latest chapter in a much older story of control? The missing link may not be a fossil in the ground. It may be an intervention in the code, one in the past, and another unfolding before our eyes. If so, the real question is not whether we evolved by chance or by design. The question is, who holds the pen to our DNA? And what story are they writing for the future of humanity?